Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where today it's ranked battle again, although only 6 ships on each team this time, rather than the usual 7. And this is Kenneth 95 in the Tier 9 US Navy Battlecruiser, the USS Alaska. Yes, that's right, US Navy, I said Battlecruiser, not large cruiser. Because it's a Battlecruiser. I know I'm going to be ruffling some feathers today, but I just do find it amusing and incomprehensible, this pathological aversion in the US Navy to calling battlecruisers if they're flying the Stars and Stripes. Perhaps at the time there was some kind of political reason behind it. In the same way that the Cold War Royal Navy called their aircraft carriers through-deck cruisers. Because building aircraft carriers was politically unacceptable. I don't know. Maybe that's a factor. I know that battlecruisers were never a popular concept within the US Navy. Maybe that's why they insisted on calling them large cruisers instead of, battlecruisers, which is what they are. Plus, at the time that the USS Alaska was built, or at least commissioned, 1944, the US Navy already had plenty of fast battleships, most notably the Iowa class, that kind of rendered the whole battlecruiser concept redundant in US Navy service. And yet they still built 2 of them, the Alaska and the Guam, and they insisted on calling them large cruisers. And yet, it's like they weren't really fooling anybody, because even the naming convention admitted that they weren't large cruisers. Because cruisers in the US Navy are named after cities, and battleships are named after states, and the Alaska and the Guam are neither cities nor states. They're territories. Okay, Alaska's a state now, but at the time this ship was commissioned, it wasn't. So, okay, what is a battlecruiser? Well, a battlecruiser is a cruiser armed with battleship caliber guns that's fast enough to outrun anything that can outgun it, like an actual battleship, and has enough firepower to kill anything that it can't run away from. So, clearly you can see that the USS Alaska isn't a battlecruiser after all, because it's a cruiser armed with battleship caliber guns that's fast enough to outrun anything that can outgun it, like an actual battleship, but has enough firepower to kill anything it can't run away from. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, yeah. That's a battlecruiser, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, it is. Honestly, I really just find the whole thing amusing. I mean, they can call them small off-duty Czechoslovakian traffic wardens for all I care, right? It doesn't change what they are. Anyway. Couple of shots out there at the enemy Dmitry Donskoy, one of the enemy team's 2 radar cruisers, which is unfortunate for the new Strashimi on Kenneth's team, because the enemy team do have 2 radar cruisers, the Donskoy there and the Baltimore, and Kenneth's team only have 1, and he's it. Now, you could question the utility of Kenneth being all the way down here by Cap Circle Alpha by himself, since he is the only radar cruiser on the team, and generally speaking, especially if you are the only radar cruiser on your team, it's better to occupy a more central position just to give the radar more coverage. But, while nobody has seen the enemy Z-46 yet, I think it's fairly safe to assume that he's over in Bravo, because somebody just flipped it and it wasn't any of the visible ships. Plus, if you look at the positions of the friendly ships, specifically on the minimap, they're all hiding behind the islands. So even if he had radared that Z-46 in the act of flipping the cap, nobody was really in a position other than him to do anything about it. Nice hit on the Baltimore there. Not quite as well hidden behind the island as he thought he was. A few more hits would have been nicer, of course. The Baltimore in that position is probably the reason why, if you look at the minimap, the friendly Nustra Shimi is currently hidden behind an island in Cap Circle Charlie. Oh, and there's the Z-46. Not quite sure how he got spotted, but a couple of shots out in the small window of opportunity that was available while he was visible. And it doesn't look like any of them have hit. Kenneth still trying to finish off that Dmitry Donskoy, who appeared to have the same idea as Kenneth at the beginning of the match. Head over to Cap Circle Alpha. Unfortunately, he ran into a battle cruiser. Sinking cruisers is what battle cruisers are for. So he has wisely chosen to run the hell away. Somebody's got Kenneth targeted. Oh, it's the... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It was all going so well, Dmitry. You had almost made it into cover. And then you just had to go and give your position away by firing, didn't you? Although Kenneth isn't firing back. Looks like Kenneth has decided that it's more important to take this cap and not get reset than it is to finish off a radar cruiser. Although now he's going for the Baltimore. Then again, the Baltimore is obliging by turning to give broadside. And that central cluster of shells does, yep, good enough. Those three were just about glued together. So that's one radar cruiser down. And now he's going to try to make it two. He's managed to get some shots out before Dmitry can sneak into cover behind the island. And somebody else is trying to nail him before he gets away with it as well. But he is going to get away with it. At least for now. So, both teams have lost one cruiser. Although there is more scuffling going on in the middle of the map, specifically between the Prinz Ruprecht and the Haarlem, that is going to produce some more casualties. Starting with the Haarlem, there he goes. But the Prinz Ruprecht lost so much health in that exchange, he's almost certainly going to be next. So the kills should be even, in fact they are, but Kenneth's team have managed to steal all three of the cap circles. Kenneth's asking the Zeton to get back. I'm not entirely sure why. Perhaps he's concerned about the torpedo threat from the Z-46, who is still out there somewhere, and wants the Zeton to hold up until he can cover him with his radar. There's also the slight issue that the Zeton is given a broadside target to the Dmitry Donskoy. But the Dmitry Donskoy is not going to be a problem for much longer. Now, what the team really should be trying to do here, and to an extent Kenneth kind of is now that the team have the points, the caps, the kills, and to a small degree the positioning advantage, they should be expanding that positioning advantage by moving out around the flanks in order to catch the remaining three enemy ships in a crossfire. Unfortunately, it really doesn't look as if that's going to be happening anytime soon. The Jean Bart over there would need to be at least one grid square further north in order to make that practical. And so it looks like we're going to be confined to your usual nose-in, or mostly nose-in, at the very least angled battleship slugging match. The problem here is the Zeton. He's heading through the inside of the island chain up there rather than going around the outside, and he's probably doing that in order to keep his guns firing at the Brandenburg, who is presenting something at least of a broadside to him. The risk, and the Zeton has activated his hydro, so he is at least aware of the risk that he's taking, is the Z-46 and its torpedoes. Because when you're threading your way through islands like that, you have extremely limited window of opportunity to avoid any torpedoes fired at you. And yet it's not the torpedoes that the Zeton needs to worry about. It's the guns of the Brandenburg who are absolutely smashing him. Because he's a battlecruiser, and the Brandenburg's a battleship, and fighting battleships is not what battlecruisers are for. This is what battlecruisers are for. Bringing battleship caliber guns to smash up heavy and light cruisers like the Saint Louis over there. Wherever heard that before? Battle cruisers. Heavily armed enough to smash anything that they can't run away from, and fast enough to run away from anything that can smash them. Battle cruisers going up against actual battleships are probably going to lose every time, just like the British battle cruisers did at Jutland when Admiral Jellicoe put them in the battleship firing line. They experienced exactly the same fate as that suffered by the Zeton just now. Fighting battleships is not what they're for. Smashing cruisers, like Kenneth just did to the Saint Louis, and the Baltimore, and the Dmitry Donskoy, is exactly what these things are for. Large cruiser my arse. The Belfast's a large cruiser. Town class were some of the biggest light cruisers ever built. It's still a light cruiser though. Hopefully you can see the difference. Wow, this Brandenburg's going ham, isn't he? Here's where Kenneth makes his first real miscalculation. You can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to take advantage of the Neustrashimy smoke screen in order to get the first shot off on the Brandenburg and kill him. But he miscalculated how long the Neustrashimy smoke screen was going to last, and this really could be... oh yeah, he was very lucky to get away with that. The smoke screen is the only reason he's gone on the inside of the island here, because now he's broadsiding the Brandenburg. The Brandenburg, however, has much lower health and knows that he needs to get all of his guns firing to make a difference here, so he was broadsiding Kenneth as well. And that just leaves the Z-46. And I have to say, the Neustrashimy's torpedoes have really been on point here, because he launched those torpedoes long before they were both hydroed by the Z-46. So he knew exactly where the Z-46 was, and those torpedoes only very narrowly missed. Instead of running for the cover of the next island, Kenneth decides, sod it, the torpedoes are probably already on the way. Turns in instead. And again, look at these Neustrashimy torpedoes. That guy was so unlucky he didn't kill the Z-46 outright on the first torpedo salvo, but one torpedo struck home from the second salvo. Kenneth was absolutely right to not try to make it into the cover of the next island. If he had, these torpedoes would have killed him. The Z-46 would have survived and might have gone on to kill the Neustrashimy and win the game. But he didn't. So he didn't. Hang on a minute, Jingles. Ein Minuten bitte, por favor. 5 kills, okay, Kraken unleashed, but only 118,000 damage. What's going on here? Well, yeah, it was a ranked battle. There were only 6 ships on the enemy team, and he got 5 of them. That 118,000 damage in a 6-battle game was probably more like a 250,000 damage 12-ship regular standard battle game. So, you know, credit where credit's due here. It doesn't look that great from the bare numbers perspective until you put it into context and realise that he was only fighting 6 enemy ships. He did get 5 of them. That's not bad. I thought it was impressive anyway. Congratulations, Kenneth. Well done. I think it's fairly safe to say the team probably wouldn't have won that one if you hadn't been there. But that's it for today, although we will be back tomorrow with Warhammer 40,000, Chaos Gate, Demon Hunt. We really need to come up with a better title for that game. It's way too long-winded. But that's to come tomorrow. In the meantime, as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.